5 friends, Emily, Jake, Ryan, Lisa, and Chris, stood at the precipice of Shadow Valley, a place whispered to be cursed. Legend spoke of vanished hikers, airy lights, and voices carried on the wind. Despite the unsettling tales, they were determined to conquer the valley, their youthful bravado a shield against the unseen. Just stories, right? Ryan chuckled nervously. Emily, the pragmatic one, adjusted her backpack. Only one way to find out, she declared, her gaze fixed on the swirling mist. They ventured into the valley, each step taking them deeper into the heart of the mystery. The sun, a distant memory above the towering trees, cast long, eerie shadows that danced ominously with their every move. A sudden rustle in the undergrowth sent shivers down their spines, their eyes darting to the shadows. As twilight crept in, painting the sky in hues of blood orange and bruised purple, the shadows grew longer, stretching towards them like grasping claws. As darkness enveloped the valley, the temperature plummeted, a bone-chilling cold seeping into their bones. They huddled closer, their headlamps cutting through the oppressive darkness. The once familiar forest now seemed alien, hostile. The trail, treacherous and poorly marked, led them deeper into the valley's embrace. Whispers seemed to emanate from the shadows, pronouncements in an unknown tongue. "Did you hear that?" Lisa whispered, her voice trembling. A low growl echoed through the valley, sending a jolt of fear through their veins. "Probably just an animal," Jake reassured them, though his voice lacked conviction. They pressed on, their pace quickening, desperate to escape the oppressive atmosphere of the valley. But the valley was in no hurry. It had waited centuries for them, and it had all the time in the world. They stumbled upon the remnants of a campsite. A tattered tent, rusted cans, and a lone hiking boot lying abandoned on the forest floor. The sight sent shivers down their spines, a chilling reminder that they were not alone. Chris kicked at the debris, unearthing a weather-beaten journal. Its pages, brittle with age, contained a frantic scrawl. The shadows, they move, they watch. The words hung in the air, a tangible manifestation of their growing fear. A cold wind whipped through the valley, tearing the journal from Chris's grasp. "This is messed up, even for you, Em," Jake said, his voice tight with fear. Emily, normally stoic and pragmatic, felt a tremor of fear course through her. "We need to get out of here," she said, her voice firm, despite the tremor in her heart. The valley, as if responding to her words, unleashed a guttural roar that echoed through the trees. They fled, their headlamps bobbing frantically as they ran blindly through the darkness. The paths behind them seemed to disappear, the trees pressing in, their branches reaching out like skeletal arms. The whispers grew louder, morphing into distinct voices, chanting their names with chilling familiarity. Their breaths came in ragged gasps as they pushed themselves to their limits. They scrambled over rocks and fallen trees, their backpacks snagging on branches. Lisa, her face pale with terror, tripped and fell. Ryan stopped, reaching for her, his hand closing around hers, just as something dark and unseen surged towards them. Then, silence. Ryan looked around, his heart pounding in his chest, searching for Lisa, for any sign of his friends, but they were gone, vanished into the darkness, as if they had never been there at all. He called out for them, his voice a desperate croak in the stillness. But the only answer was the rustling of leaves and the echo of his own fear. Ryan stumbled on, his mind reeling, his every instinct screaming at him to run. But where could he run? The valley had them, had swallowed them whole. He was lost, both literally and figuratively, in a maze of shadows and fear. As he ran, he swore he could see figures flitting through the trees, their forms shifting and swirling like smoke on the wind. Their eyes, burning with a cold, malevolent light, followed his every move. He squeezed his eyes shut, willing himself to wake up from this nightmare. But the nightmare was all too real. He could feel the valley's presence all around him, a suffocating darkness that seeped into his very being. It whispered to him, tempting him with promises of power, of belonging, of an end to his fear. The sound of his name, faint but unmistakable, pierced through the fog of fear that clouded his mind. Emily. He whipped around, his heart leaping into his throat. There, standing at the edge of a clearing, bathed in the pale moonlight that filtered through the trees, was Emily. Relief washed over him, so potent it almost brought him to his knees. Emily? He surged towards her, his legs heavy and leaden, his lungs burning. What happened? Where are the others? His words tumbled out in a torrent of relief and confusion. But as he drew closer, he noticed something different about her. Something in her eyes, a coldness that sent a shiver down his spine. Ryan, she said, her voice devoid of its usual warmth, flat and emotionless. It's time you saw the truth. She stepped aside, gesturing towards the center of the clearing. He followed her gaze, his blood turning to ice in his veins. Terror, raw and primal, surged through him. He stumbled back, his mind reeling from the impossible scene before him. "What have you done to them?" he choked out, his voice barely a whisper. Emily, or whatever had taken her form, smiled, a chilling, empty gesture that sent shivers down his spine. "They are free now," she said, her voice echoing strangely in the stillness. Free from fear, from doubt, from the weakness of their humanity. She took a step towards him, her hand outstretched, her fingers tipped with an unnatural darkness. "Join us, Ryan. Embrace the power that awaits you." He recoiled from her touch as if burned. He pushed himself harder, his lungs screaming for air, his legs burning with exhaustion. The ethereal glow grew stronger, illuminating the path ahead. He could hear the creatures behind him, their footsteps heavy and unnatural, their whispers morphing into enraged snarls. But he didn't dare look back. The trees thinned, the oppressive darkness of the valley giving way to the soft, grey light of dawn. He burst out of the tree line, stumbling onto a dirt road, the familiar sounds of birdsong and rustling leaves washing over him like a balm. He had escaped. He had made it out. But the valley was not done with him. He could feel its presence lingering at the edge of his awareness, its cold, malevolent gaze fixed on his back. He managed to flag down a passing truck driver, a burly, grizzled man with kind eyes and a withered face. The man, sensing his distress, didn't ask questions, just drove him to the nearest town. As they drove, Ryan looked back at the receding silhouette of the valley, his heart heavy with dread. He knew he should tell someone, warn them about the valley, about the darkness that lurked within its depths. But what could he say? Who would believe the ramblings of a traumatized hiker, a lone survivor with a tale too monstrous to be believed? He checked into a motel, the anonymity of the sterile room offering little comfort. As he drifted off to sleep, he could hear the whispers once more, faint but insistent. The valley remained a silent sentinel shrouded in shadow and mystery.